Hello, I'm Dan Ware. I'm pleased to have as my guest for this segment of Frankly Franklin, Dorothy Donald Steers. If you read the Franklin Favor or listen to WFKN radio, you might have heard that Dorothy recently received an award, the Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award. And so I thought this would be a good time to invite her to come in and talk about some of what went into winning that award. And since she's a history buff, we'll talk a little bit about history. Dorothy, the way I was raised, you're not supposed to ask a lady her age, but I'm going to violate that rule right off the bat. You mind if I ask how old you are?
I want you to know that when I got the award from the county, and what's his name, county judge executive, he even went so far as to write my age on that award, that memorial. Well, it's 80.
Okay.
And 80 used to be young, but, I mean, old. 80 used to be old.
But not so much anymore.
Oh, why, no, not at all.
That's just 4 score. You ought to have at least 10 more,
I look back and I think, well, there's a mistake somewhere. I cannot be that old. But anyway.
Well, you look like a very spry 80-year-old to me. Now, you were born here in Simpson County, right?
Oh, yes, out on the Russell Road.
Okay. Well, now, there's a little part of Russell Road, a little ways out of Franklin, that I always heard called the Donald Stretch.
Well, that's the Donald side of the family.
Okay.
I was born on my mother's side. John Lambert owned the farm on up past Donald Stretch, right as you go around that big curve where Gene Thompson Harris's family.
Okay.
And on the left, that's where my grandfather John Lambert owned the farm. But I was born in a little tenant house.
Okay.
Down the road a little bit.
Okay.
Now the Donald Stretch, that's my daddy's family.
Okay, but both sides of your family are from that part of the county.
Yes, but the Donalds didn't come here until 1917.
Oh, really? Did they buy some land and come here?
They bought that farm. My
Okay.
father and my grandfather and his family came up in 1915, Daddy said, and they stayed at the Commercial Hotel. They came by train.
By train,
they stayed
okay.
at the Commercial Hotel and went out and looked at the property.
Right.
And bought the farm.
Yeah.
But they didn't get possession apparently for a couple of years, so they went back to Wilson County, Tennessee.
Okay.
And there was some kind of a bad accident, either an accident of some kind. My grandfather never remembered buying the farm or anything. He was
Really?
over himself later after that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty good farmland out there.
Oh, yes, rest of it. Yeah.
Right.
Ronnie Dawson owns what was the Donald property.
Knows right where that, I know where that is.
His
Yeah,
grandmother married Hugh Donald, who was my daddy's brother.
Okay.
And of course Hugh had taken title to the property and straw deeded it anyway. Ronnie ended up with it.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that you grew up as a country girl then? Or did you all live in town part of the time?
Well, let's see. I was born out there, and then we lived in another little place somewhere in that neighborhood. But when I was, I guess, between 2 and 3 years old, my daddy had the store at Price's Mill.
Okay.
And I was referred to as the Price's Mill Sport.
Oh, really? Okay.
And from Price's Mill, that was when I was about 3. Then he had a fruit store on the north side of the square in Franklin.
Okay. Would
And
that have
we
been on
lived- we
Kentucky Street then?
Well, Depot, yeah, Kentucky.
Okay.
Well, right this moment, I can't think who's there. But on the north side of the square was a little fruit store, and we lived in the back.
Oh, okay.
And then, let's see, then one time we lived upstairs over what's now the new part of the Methodist Church. And no, I'm not a country girl.
Okay. So town. Well, talk to me a little bit about about the Franklin of your childhood. Kind of compare it and contrast it to the Franklin we know today.
Well, we lived at one time up on Morris Street. Now, I remember that was, I had long red curls, and that was when Mother cut my hair. And one of my most vivid memories is going to school it would be wintertime, and Mother would put those long stockings on me,
Uh-huh.
and as soon as I'd get out of her sight, I'd roll them down, you know.
Yeah.
I went to Franklin Grade School,
Okay.
and in fact, Miss Eunice McClendon
Right.
was not only my first grade teacher, but she was my son's first grade teacher and my daughter's first grade
Really?
teacher. Yes.
Yeah. She had a long career.
She
I
did,
knew her.
and
Yes.
of course I went on then to high school through the 9th grade in Franklin High School.
Mm-hmm.
But then my parents bought a house just outside the city limits on East Cedar Street.
Okay.
Well, they would have had to pay tuition for me to go to school, and of course I'm sure they couldn't afford that. So I started then to the new Simpson County High School.
Right. The school on the hill.
On the hill when I
Right.
was a sophomore.
Okay.
And then I graduated from there in 1943.
Okay.
And my daddy was always, he was interested in this and then that. He bought a restaurant over across from Gate 1 at Camp Campbell.
Okay.
And we went over there and I waited tables.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I had the 6 o'clock evening shift, and I had wanted to go to the University of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And no, Mother said I could go to Western and come back and forth, you know,
Right,
not live
right.
away from home.
Right,
Goodness
right.
no.
Uh-huh.
So after the period of time over across from Gate 1 at Camp Campbell and all of
Right.
the nice young soldiers whom I came in contact with, she decided that I could go to the University of Kentucky.
Okay. All right. You've
So
seen
that-
a little bit of the
that
world
got-
by that
that
point.
got me
Yeah.
there. Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Now, as far as high school is concerned, I was, we had a band,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the only person who had any, I played clarinet,
Okay.
who had so I was first chair clarinet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up, I was drum major.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, drum
Nice.
major for the 3 years.
You have the big hat?
Had the big hat,
Yeah.
and we had, we were quite proud of our band.
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
one of my memories with that is Sue Francis King,
Mm-hmm.
Sue Francis Baird,
Yes.
was our little mascot.
Okay.
And I know we went out of town one time and she went with us, but that's a vivid
Uh-huh.
memory. I don't
Uh-huh.
have I have a lot of things I don't remember.
When you were in high school, did you all get to take a senior trip anywhere, or?
Oh goodness, no! We didn't even
Okay.
have an annual. This is during World War II.
Okay.
We didn't even have an annual. We don't have any evidence of our having been there.
Oh, really?
No.
No, that's a shame.
There was
Yeah.
we had a school newspaper,
Uh-huh.
and some of my cohorts, some of my schoolmates have saved those, but I
Uh-huh.
don't even have those.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a picture. We don't have anything.
Well, that's a shame. How big was your graduating class?
We
Do you
had
remember?
43.
43.
Uh-huh.
Have you all had any reunions?
Oh,
do
yes,
you-
we've had reunions regularly.
Okay.
And in fact, we used to have them every 5 years.
Uh-huh.
Well, in more recent years, we decided, well, every 5 years is just too far apart because, you know, we may not be here the next 5 years.
Okay.
So we started having them 2 years apart.
Uh-huh.
Well, but we had one last year, and we're going to have one this year.
Well, good for you.
So, you know, when
Yeah.
you get our age, it's
Mm-hmm.
a year apart is better.
Is there any one person that you remember as maybe your favorite teacher when you were in high school?
Well, of course, out at Simpson County High School, Miss Ethel Hancock
Uh-huh.
she taught history. She
Yeah.
taught social studies.
Was that your favorite subject, or?
No, math was my subject. When I
Math,
went to UK,
okay.
I majored in, I was going to major in math.
Okay.
So no history. I really don't, I said Miss Ethel taught history. I really don't even remember having had a history class in school.
Really?
And of course, Miss Anna K. Gill
Uh-huh.
was my, as far as memory goes,
Uh-huh.
in Franklin High School. She was an English teacher.
Right.
And I credit her with my interest in grammar.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we didn't have literature then. My daughter Paula teaches English in Richmond, Virginia,
Right.
and teaches well, what was I just telling you, literature.
Right, right.
See, some of these words don't come as fast as they used to.
That's all right.
She teaches literature.
Uh-huh.
And I'll declare I don't remember that I ever was exposed to literature, any literature, either in Franklin or at Simpson County.
Really?
So, but English per se.
But
we called it, it was nothing but it was grammar,
so a lot
grammar
of
and
emphasis on
writing.
grammar and spelling and writing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Well, now, when I was in high school here, the kids after school or in the evenings would congregate at the Frosty Freeze. And I guess now they go to McDonald's. In your day, was there a hangout or a place that kids
Oh, goodness,
liked to go?
no. See, everybody, well, in Franklin, when I went through the 9th grade, no, I don't remember our ever doing that. Yes, I do remember, well, it wasn't a hangout. Betty Jane Jackson
Mm-hmm.
was, we were the same age, and I remember her grandfather was Mr. Kirk Jackson, and he had a livery stable or something right behind on the corner there where the Methodist church is now.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember that we shot marbles.
Uh-huh.
We'd do a circle
Yeah, yeah.
and play marbles. Now, surely we were little then. I don't,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
in junior high school. But in high school, see, we rode the school bus.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that was one of the things that I thought when I learned that I had to go to Simpson County High School. I thought, oh, I'll get to ride the school bus.
Uh-huh.
But everybody rode the school bus, so there's no hanging out.
Right, because you got on the bus and you went home. You probably had chores to do when you got there.
You're using that word hanging out, and I'll throw this in right now.
Okay.
I did not know what hanging out meant. You know, when you hear young people who are graduating, they'll ask you, well, what are your hobbies?
Uh-huh.
Well, I hang out at so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what do you do when you hang
When you
out?
hang out.
Literally, I really didn't know what that meant. So in recent times, I have learned I hang out at the archives.
Yeah, that's
so
your hangout, all
So
right.
that's one of my phrases. I feel like I'm really cool when I use that phrase.
Well, did you all, when you were in school, did you go to the Goodnight Library, or did you involved in anything at the Goodnight Auditorium, or because it was built about 36, I think.
Well, when I was in grade school, we did.
Okay.
Let's see. I was born in 1925, so in 36 I would have been 11 years old, and I would have been still in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can remember a play. Goodness knows what it was, because I had to. I wore a 1880s costume,
Mm-hmm.
and had my grandmother Donald's spinning wheel,
Uh-huh.
and she taught me how to use the spinning wheel,
Okay.
so it could be very realistic. And but that's all. That's the only time I remember. Oh, and I took dancing.
Oh, did you?
Oh yes, took dancing, and did have a picture from that. And in recent times, I have enjoyed looking back and sharing that picture with some of the other people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Were you doing the foxtrot, or were you doing the tango?
No, this
or
is
what?
tap dancing. This is tap dancing and
okay.
ballet.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
As this is about 7, 8, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My memories are scattered. Some things I thought, well, I lived through that period, but I don't remember anything about it. But that particular period is vivid.
Did you enjoy your years in Lexington at college?
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, this is I don't know. My brother Bob will have a fit at my church when I tell this. I know the first thing that I wanted to do. My mother always had me be in at 10:30 at night when I'd go out on a date and all that kind of stuff. So I was going to show her. So one of the first things that we did, we went down to the Canary Cottage on Main Street, and I ordered a whiskey sour and lit up a cigarette.
Oh.
I mean, that was I was showing her that I was independent.
Uh-huh.
That's a vivid memory.
Well, what did you
Of course, I met Roy at the University of Kentucky.
Well, I was going to ask you how you met your husband. Tell me a little bit about how you all got acquainted, and
well,
did he go to law school there? Or?
No, he went 1 year to law school there. He was just back from World War II and had been he had been on disability thing at the name of the hospital in Florida escapes me.
That's
But
okay.
he was back, and he had to take, he was in summer school, and we had an economic history of Europe class together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was an excellent tennis player,
Mm-hmm.
and our history teacher,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Jennings, bless his heart, he liked to play tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want you to know Roy would play tennis with him after school, and he would just barely let Dr. Jennings win.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Roy got an A out of that course, and I got a B.
All right.
I've always accused him then of his tennis ability got him that A.
Influenced his grade, right?
So we were there, and then he went to the first year of law school there,
Uh-huh.
and then when Lee was on the way
Mm-hmm.
in '46, he transferred to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
He always said that when things were good, he transferred because I wanted to go be near home,
Uh-huh.
and otherwise it was because that he wanted to go.
I see.
So anyway, we moved to Nashville,
Okay.
and he went the last 2 years to Vanderbilt Law School,
Mhm.
graduated from there. And of course, Lee was born when we were
Mhm.
living in Nashville.
Now, did Lee go to Vanderbilt? too?
Lee went to
I think
Vanderbilt
he
Law
did.
School
That's
too.
what I thought, yeah.
Lee went to, Lee was a golfer,
Uh-huh.
and nothing would do but he would go to college. He got a scholarship at Florida State University,
Uh-huh.
and but it didn't pan out. He didn't have a vehicle, and Roy had him on a very meager allowance
Right.
because everything was supposed to be paid for, and he wasn't happy down there.
Uh-huh.
So we were up in northern Kentucky visiting Roy's parents one day, and I got this phone call that Lee was at home.
Uh-huh.
He was here in Franklin.
Okay.
He had hitchhiked from Tallahassee back to
Oh,
Franklin.
really? Yeah.
Well, anyway, he didn't like the
Didn't
Florida
like it
State.
down there, yeah.
Because he
Okay.
had to catch a ride to the golf course, and you
Yeah.
know. So he transferred to Western
Okay.
and went to Western then. But at the end of 3 years, he applied to Vanderbilt and was accepted at Vanderbilt Law School
Mhm.
without having gotten a degree at Western. So he got his degree at his law degree at Vanderbilt too.
Okay. Now, your husband, Roy, practiced law here for about how long?
Well, we moved back here in, let's see, 47, 48, 1948, 67, 48, and he died in September of 1980.
Okay.
And of course,
So 35 years, something
yes,
like that.
mhm,
Right, right.
mhm.
Now, wasn't he city attorney for,
he was city attorney for a while. He served in the House
okay.
in Frankfurt. That was an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
The assembly balls were highlighted as far as I was concerned. They had those every Friday night.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
We lived in Frankfurt during that period of time.
Uh-huh.
And
So
of
every
course,
Friday night there was a
yeah,
dance to
yeah,
go to.
But I know one of his law clients here, said to him, Roy, you either have to practice law
Mhm.
or serve in the legislature. You can't do both, because when I need a lawyer, I don't want him to be in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So I think Roy never did run for re-election or anything.
Okay, so he made his choice then, yeah.
So, but I worked as in that law office from 1930, whatever, 48, whatever it was,
Uh-huh.
until 2 years after Roy had died.
Okay.
And another one of these, this terminology, I did not know until recent years that I was a paralegal.
Oh, okay. What did you think you were?
I didn't have a title. I
You were
didn't.
just somebody that worked there.
Just worked
Did
there.
what needed to be done.
Of course, my specialty, and this gets into my interest now
Uh-huh.
in history. My specialty was in researching land titles,
Mhm.
real estate titles.
Mm-hmm.
For
Which
title
in a
companies.
lawyer's office, you'd have to do a lot of
Oh,
deed
well,
work,
that
title
was,
work.
we had we did all of First Federal's title work back then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I got into the interest of researching land titles, and I know sometimes we were paid by the hour, and when I do the research that was necessary to accomplish the objective, I put the time down on the sheet so that we wouldn't overcharge the client. And then I'd go as far back in the history of the tract of land as I could go. I never could be satisfied with just a 30-year or 50 years. I had to go back as far as, of course, our courthouse burned in 1882, so you couldn't go back indefinitely.
Okay, right.
But that's where that was the first evidence of my interest in that kind of history.
Mm-hmm. What about genealogy? Have you always been interested in that? Or?
Well, my commencing interest in genealogy, I can remember it vividly. Again, so many things I don't remember. But I asked my dad one day. My dad was a big man. He was 6'6". Mm-hmm. And I said, Daddy, who was your great-grandfather? And I can just see him. He scratched his head and he says, I don't rightly know. I said, well, aren't you ashamed of the fact that you don't know who your great-grandfather was? Well, he really wasn't, but I made him. So we took off to Wilson County, Tennessee, and that was the beginning of my trek with genealogy.
Okay.
So I researched the Donalds and finally entered the DAR on having proved that the ancestor George Donald was a patriot, and that got me into genealogy, interested in genealogy. Mm-hmm. And DAR, mm-hmm. and you pile all that together, and that goes to history archives.
Right. And I know you were an officer in the Simpson County chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution for a long time.
Well, I have been all of them. I've been regent, and but then I just recently, just last year, resigned as registrar. I was registrar for 25 years. Registrar is the one who assists people in their research to apply for membership in DAR.
When you first did your research and joined, was there a chapter here already established?
Yes, yes, there was a chapter here, but I've been a member since 40 years. I don't know when the chapter was organized here. I was not a charter member, but I joined fairly soon after the chapter was organized here.
Right. Well, now, you were a charter member of the Simpson County Historical Society.
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that group came to be organized.
Well, I think Edna Milliken might get credit for creating the interest, Mrs. Charles Duncan Milliken. Mm-hmm. And I believe that Sam McCracken, I believe, was our first president. I don't know. Okay. But I've been president of that and gone through all the officers in that. I'm not an officer in the Historical Society, excuse me, anymore. I haven't been for a long, long time. I don't want to be responsible for it. I don't want to worry with it. But when you get my age, you can call what you want to do and just do what you want to do.
There you go. You can be the elder statesman.
You can be the elder statesman. So I pretty much do what I want to do. Yeah. And they let me get by with it.
Hey, if it's working, all right. Well, of course, that's been almost 50 years ago, and I guess at the time you all organized, did you have a place? I mean, now the old stone jail, jailer's quarters, and all that, but for years, where did you all have to keep your records and stuff?
Oh, well, there were no records. I mean, you know, we didn't have records as such. Mm-hmm. The courthouse, the old records in the courthouse were up on the third floor. Mm-hmm. And they were in boxes and just strewn hither and yon. They had always been that way. Mm-hmm. And in the circuit clerk's office, there were stacks of boxes all over. Jackson was the circuit court clerk. Mm-hmm. There were stacks of boxes all over his office, literally stacks in all the corners. Mm-hmm. And I was told that, and I think it's true, that sometimes Mont just got fed up with having all those stacks, and he'd take them out and throw them away. So we do not know that the stacks or the records that we have now that were left from the 1882 fire are all that were saved. We don't know. But anyway, so as far as the Historical Society is concerned, our first efforts were to go up on the third floor and kind of start organizing the old records.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our meetings in the music room at the library.
Right.
We had no home.
Uh-huh.
In fact, until we took over down at the jail, well, I suppose some of the records were kept at the library.
Uh-huh.
People would donate things, and
Right.
they had them in a closet down there.
Right.
But there was no place for that anybody who was interested could get access to the records
Mm-hmm.
until we had them down at the jail.
Well, when did you decide to start organizing material and compiling it and publishing books? Because I know you've published 10 books that
Yeah.
have statistics and local history things in them.
Well, there just was not enough, there weren't enough records, and I didn't think that the people were getting to make use of the records. So I did a lot of indexing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Little Ann, we call her Little Ann Prothrow.
Mm-hmm.
She and I, and she was young, I don't remember when it was, probably in the 70s. My first effort was indexing Perrin's history as far as the Simpson County section was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is pre-computer. We did it on index cards,
Right, yeah.
laboriously.
Yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And then our first book was, we called it Simpson County, Kentucky Records. And in that, I had copied, of course, I had a typewriter, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was accomplished typist.
Okay.
And anyway, in this first book, we had the 1820 census, the 1830 census, some Bible records that had been contributed, and the few headstone copies from the cemeteries in the county,
Right.
and the 1850 and 60 mortality schedules. Well, we
Okay.
put all that together. That was our first book.
Okay.
It was just that there were a lot of records available, but they were obscure. People
Mm-hmm.
did not readily have access to them.
I see.
And so that was why I started doing these books, to make the records more accessible to people.
Because without that, you had to go to wherever they
Well,
were
this is on
housed
microfilm.
and-
See,
Oh,
so
okay.
much of it, 2 of my books are circuit court records that we only have the big ledgers down there.
Right, right.
And so much of the material was on microfilm, and people
Right.
do not, we had microfilm readers at the archives, but people don't
Right.
have microfilm readers at their
home
homes.
or what-
I
right.
do, but
Right. Yeah.
but anyway, it made them
Uh-huh.
more accessible.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we did the big Simpson County, Kentucky record, Simpson County, Kentucky Families Past and Present.
Mhm.
That's the compilation of, I don't know how many hundreds of biographies that were written. That was done in the 80s. That's goodness. I didn't realize that's our Bible down there.
Right, right,
And of course, we still use Perrin's history.
right.
And then I did the 1850 census with some tax lists.
Mhm.
And in the Bible that I was just telling you about, I did the 1819 tax list and the 1871 tax list.
Mhm.
And then I won some publication. I did one on communities, did an article on each community, each
Mhm.
recognized community in the
Mhm.
county.
Mhm.
And and on and on and on.
In doing all that research, you got this big stack of index cards and all these source materials. Were there ever any low points when you ever thought, why in the world did I undertake this? I'll never get
Oh
through all
yes,
this.
well of course
and-
we only did the first 2 with index cards, and then I got my first computer in 1981 or something like
So
that.
you were, yeah.
So I had David Farr-Stallman
Yes.
wrote the program for the first computer oriented computer generated index that we did.
Uh-huh.
David Forrest, I called
Right.
David Forrest, and I need to index this, and I don't know how, and I don't know where to buy a program. Well, I'll write you one.
All right.
So he did.
Good for David.
He's
yeah.
quite talented with
He
far
is. Yeah.
as computers are concerned.
Uh-huh. Well, now tell me a little bit about this thing you're doing where you're taking these original land grants,
Oh,
and you're
yes.
kind of
Well, you
overlaying
ask
them.
about things. Do I ever get tired?
Yeah.
Do I ever get? Sometimes I'm like the man who got on his horse and rode off in all directions at one time. I'll start with one piece of work,
Yeah.
and that's quite interesting.
Uh-huh.
But then there'll be something in that that'll make me refer to something else.
Mhm.
Well, lo and behold, I end up going in that direction, and
yeah.
here's this man
Yeah.
on this horse.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have done two volumes of the Simpson Circuit Court abstracting the records that are on microfilm,
Mhm.
and I'm on the third one of that.
Okay.
It's just really not as particularly interesting right now, and I chore along on it, and I think, oh, I must get this done, because now the last two books I've done, I gave them to the archives. I didn't realize any financial interest on it, and so I'm doing that. But as to this that you're talking about, I have a computer program called Deed Mapper,
Okay.
and one can obtain either by way of the survey books that Logan County published,
Mhm.
or by getting the copies of the land grants from Frankfurt.
Mhm.
You can get the literal description of the land at its first identification,
Mhm.
because in order to get a land grant, they had to do a warrant, and then they had to have a survey, and then they get their grant. Land grant meaning the first conveyance from the state of Kentucky to a person. After that, their deeds.
Right.
So I have these loads of surveys,
Uh-huh.
and the PBA office has aerial maps of the entire county.
Right.
So I have photocopied those maps,
Mhm.
some of them,
Mhm.
and have reduced the size 50% at least. Otherwise, it's too big to deal with.
Right.
So I take these surveys, the original survey, the
Mhm.
first time it was ever
First
described,
survey. Okay.
and print it with Deed Mapper, which is my computer program,
Mhm.
and literally come up with the shape of the
Mhm.
tract of land.
Right.
And I know usually the names of the boundary landowners, and of course I know who surveyed it and who got the title to it and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I know generally the section of the county that it's in,
Okay.
generally.
Right.
So my objective is to take this tract of land
Uh-huh.
with all these little adage that I can find,
Right. Right.
and place it on the aerial photo of today.
Right.
So I have done that with my first move in that was trying to find where Hudspeth's well was.
Uh-huh.
Was which Hudspeth, where was the Hudspeth tract
Right.
that the well that Franklin per se came
Right,
out of?
yes.
That was the first move that I made. That's
Okay.
what got me into this.
Well, that replica that's there on the south side of the courthouse, is that close to the right spot?
Oh yeah. Well, Hudspeth owned a huge tract. I don't remember, 100 acres, 200 acres.
Okay.
And it was, we're talking the original, the first transaction, the 1st
Mhm.
transfer.
Mhm.
And I don't remember, of course, I never remember dates. I don't know what date it was, but anyway, that was and I was able to put that tract on the current map,
Uh-huh.
and that was kind of the nucleus of all the outlying stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's talk just a minute about, you did the documentation for some historical markers that we've got.
We
you,
did.
You can't just go say, I want a marker, and
No,
you gotta
but
prove.
that's what they did with the buoy marker, and they said this is where Sam Bowie's land was,
Right.
and wanted to put a marker there. And so
Right.
Tom Moody and I said, well, I don't know that that's where Sam Bowie lived.
Right.
I don't know what they say it is, but so what? And so anyway, nothing would do. But then I lit in
Okay.
and did the research on that. Of course, at the time, Sam Bowie. was
Jim
that his-
Bowie. Jim Bowie.
Jim Bowie. Who is Sam Bowie? He was a basketball player,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Jim Bowie.
Sam Bowie was you going back to the University of Kentucky and the Twin Towers, Sam
Right,
Bowie and Melvin
okay,
Perkins.
okay,
So, yeah,
all
yeah.
right, Jim Bowie.
Jim Bowie of the Alamo and the Bowie knife.
Okay,
Yeah, Jim Bowie.
Jim Bowie, the land that he owned then, it was in Logan County at the
that time,
time that he
right.
owned it.
Right.
But anyway, I had access to, of course, to the Logan County records. their courthouse didn't burn.
Right.
And was able to and did prove it, and it was in the right place.
Okay.
But Tom wasn't going to sign it, and I wasn't going to sign it until we knew for sure.
Right. Yeah.
That was one of them. And of course, there's a big hullabaloo about where the triangle in Simpson County. That's a biggie.
Right.
In fact, at the Historical Society meeting the other night, Connie Jo and I got into it. She thinks the barrel of whiskey was what marked it, and I told her that was absolutely wrong. So anyway, that's another.
But it makes a good story.
Yes, it does. But I did some research on that, on the triangle. Did quite a bit of research on that, and it was used. My research was used by James Sames in his book 4 Points West, I believe it was, where he traces the history of the Kentucky line all the way from the Atlantic Ocean over to the river.
I see.
But anyway, that was another project, and there's always a project.
Well,
but there needs to be a project. One needs to have something to make one get up in the morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you don't get up too early in the morning, though, do you?
Nobody dares call me before 9, and in fact, 10 o'clock I may turn over for 10 o'clock.
Well, hey, after that 80 years, I guess you can do what you want to do,
You
right?
can do what you want to do. Yes, there's nobody, Lee's in Scottsdale, Arizona, Paula's in Richmond, Virginia, Muffin's in Mississippi, and Samantha's in Florida. I don't have anybody here, and so I am my own boss. I do what I want to do, when I want to do it.
Okay. Well, I hope you keep on being able to do that for a real long time.
Well, as things go now, it looks like, as I say, I just cannot believe I'm 80 years old.
Now, how many days are you down at the archives usually?
Tuesday, and on all day Tuesday, and then
Okay.
Saturday from 10 until 2 are my legal days. Now, I'm a
Okay.
volunteer. I don't get paid. I just go. But I play bridge and Bowling Green on Thursdays, and sometimes on Wednesdays in Franklin. But I might hang out at the archives a little more often than that.
All right. Well, we've used up all our time.
Oh, have we?
We have. I don't
Well,
know
there are
where it went.
a lot of things we haven't covered.
I know, but we've actually spilled over just a little bit, so we
Okay.
may have to invite you back for round 2 sometime.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I appreciate your interest.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you. It's been very interesting, and I think our audience probably found it interesting.
I hope they do.
too. So thank you all for joining us today. My guest has been Dorothy Steers, the recent recipient of the, let me get the title right here, the Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award. And as you can tell from talking to her, it's been a lifetime well lived, and I hope there's much yet to go. And we didn't even talk about politics, Dorothy.
Oh, no.
We'll have
no,
to do that
no.
another time, because she knows about politics. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Frankly Franklin.